So what happened with my arm? It's a long story.
Can you show us?
So I was in the mountains and I fell from a really, 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 really high cliff. So like I think I don't know how many meters, and I fell down. I could manage to hold on to a tree, luckily. Yeah, it was luckily this arm, and I fell on this, but I think it was still fine. But then I climbed from the tree, and you think this is why I broke my arm. But then I turn around, and there's a tiger. Yeah, it's crazy, but he attacks me, and I know if you have a tiger right in front of you, you need to hit him really hard in the face that he goes away. So this is what I did, and then I broke my wrist, but I'm happy that it's just broken and he didn't attack me.
Worth a punch.
I really wanted to do this. Oh yes, I'm glad you asked.
That's the best one I've heard so far.
Yeah.
For the finals, we went to Madeira, which is a beautiful island in the Atlantic southwest of Portugal. It's got really steep trails and mile after mile that we can run different races on different days. The finals made up of 5 races. Day 1, 2, 4, and 5 are worth 100 points, and day 3, which is only 6K, is made up of 50. The athletes don't actually have to race every day, they get to choose, but each day does have its own prize money. So there's motivation by winning the points and also taking home more winnings.
僕は今、埼玉県という東京の隣の県に住んでいます。東京は本当に人が多くて、東京の近くはそんなに高い山もないですし、あまり、僕の住んでるところはトレーニング適してないんですけども、僕の実家のある長野県だったりとかはすごく高い山もあるので、そこは本当に、いいトレーニングができる場所です。今回のファイナルステージの前の数週間は、自宅日本でトレーニングをして準備をしてきました。で今回ね、このマデイラにはそれらのね準備してきたことをしっかり発揮するためにやってきました。
It's really tough traveling from Japan to races like the Golden Trail. Not only do you have the distance and the jet lag, but there's a huge cultural difference as well. Roy recently has become a father. He's got a beautiful daughter, so add that on top and it really makes you homesick and it's hard to come away and race well.
2年前に娘が生まれたんですけども、その時はちょうどCOVID-19 の流行したタイミングだったので、比較的海外遠征が少なくて、その年はもう全くなかったので、割と家族との時間は取れたかなと思います。一方で、今年になるとやっぱりメインが海外レースになるので、そうするとなかなか家族と過ごす時間も取れなくて、こっちにいる間はね、毎日のようにテレビ電話とかするんですけど、やっぱ帰った時は、練習そっちのけで、子供と遊んでます。
Roy actually started off as a free agent. He was sponsored by Red Bull, but didn't have a kit sponsor. But now he's developed his own kit, Roy. Trainers-wise, though, he can change day to day, as he sometimes changes brands depending on what trainer he wants to wear for the right conditions. Trailing's quite a simple sport, but people manage to find a way to overcomplicate it, especially with their kit. Manu decided he was going to use poles, which is quite unusual, but he doesn't go out and buy the best in the world. He brings along his own bamboo and uses tape to get them in shape. Super light, it's cheap, it's sustainable. What a great idea.
¿Tú le haces esto a un bastón de carbono? Y parte mucho antes. Esto al final tiene más flexión, pero acaba partiendo. El problema es que, claro, si haces eso con un bastón de bambú, no te cuesta nada. Haces uno de carbono, te cuesta 150 pavos. Por 3 euros.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Oh, oh my gosh. Like, I felt great when I got here. And then
With an international race series, things often go wrong. And that happened with Ali Mack.
I lost my keys.
Her plane was delayed 3 times, so she actually arrived at 2:30 in the morning with no kit whatsoever. For athlete safety, there are mandatory requirements of what you have to carry, and that includes a phone. You can borrow trainers, you can borrow running kit, but most people don't come with a second backpack. And that meant Ali had to run with her phone. Not only that, but her phone is the size of a brick. So it's a major disadvantage. She hasn't slept, and she's gonna have to run completely imbalanced.
I would compare it to feeling drunk at the starting line, but it was a good feeling because I was like, yeah, it is what it is.
When you join Team Nike, you're not just given a great set of kit, but apparently you're also given a broken arm. Last year, Francisco Puppy arrived at the finals in cast, and now Ninka follows. So she's gonna have to run knowing that she has to be careful on the downhills, which is incredibly hard because you have to give it everything and focus all the way down, because no one goes round running like this, which is what she truly would need to do to make sure she's gonna be safe.
Yeah, so during the warm-up before the first stage, I was quite nervous. I think because you haven't even started and you know you still need to do 5 days.
Ayer en el Stage 1, antes de la carrera estaba muy nerviosa porque al final pues, Noruega lleva sin sentirme competitiva mucho tiempo. En América, entre la altura y tal, pues sabía antes de cada carrera que no lo iba a hacer bien. Entonces, entre eso y la herida y tal, pues ayer era como volver a competir para sentirme.
Coming to the final, Sophia's in 3rd place. And if you look at the course, you'd expect her to actually beat Sarah over these 5 days. But she's also an Olympic skier, and she's under huge pressure not to overtrain.
After flag, I was like, no, I won't go to Madeira. I should just focus on skiing now. But that same week after, I was like, I've had so much fun in all these races, and to me, I decided that it was gonna be worth going.
From what I've been told, she's only going to run 3 days. And to try and get 2nd place with just 3 runs, she's going to have to run them perfectly.
La primera etapa pues empezó un poco como yo me esperaba, que daba mal tiempo. Yo llegué allí con el chubasquero preparado, todo, vamos, con el avituallamiento que pensaba, y cuando me dijeron que no, dije, madre mía, vamos, aquí arriba hay un marrón de la leche. Y después, bueno, cuando empezó ya la pared, en cuanto son subidas así más duras, la verdad que me encuentro muy bien. Pero bueno, estaba ahí metido en la pelea, el Remy estaba a su rollo por ahí para arriba, que nos metió 3 minutos y pico en cosa de menos de media hora, una barbaridad. Y en cuanto llegamos al llano, o a la parte de arriba, que pues quedaban 13 kilómetros de correr, eran juguetones, se me pasaron bastante rápido, pero seguían siendo de mucho correr. Y bueno, estaba deseando empezar a bajar.
で、エイドステーションのあたりで、3番手につけていたんですけども、ちょうど集団で入ってきて、そこで少し焦りが出ました。エイドステーションで、ソフトフラスクをもらい損ねて。
What really surprised me about Roy was that he was actually dehydrated on day 1. And if you look at how wet it was, it seems like that would be impossible. But when you're pushing that hard in the water, you often forget to drink yourself, which he clearly did, and it started to affect his performance. Ali surprised everyone at the start of stage 1. She flew out of the gate. She was up with the men, battling, way ahead of Ninka and looking super strong.
Once we hit the stairs, I just started like clicking people off, and I was like, oh, this feels good. And so that kind of like just gave me some motivation there.
In the first uphill, Ellie was going hard. She just took off, and there was 1 second that I went, ooh, should I follow? And then I thought, no, this is not today.
Sarah comes into this competition in second place, but looking at who can beat her in these races, she's looking forward. She has Ninka, Sophia, and Ali, and I think she's decided she's not going to catch them. Thankfully for her, Ali hasn't got enough points that even if she does well, she's going to be threatening Sarah on the podium. So instead of being able to relax, Sarah's actually got to look behind her at who's coming, and the most likely person is Elise Poncet. Elise is the fastest descender in this series, so Sarah has to go out hard knowing that Elise is coming and just hoping she's not too fast on those downhills.
Arriba hacía granizo, lluvia, frío, buah, yo, qué bien, esto como en Euskadi. O sea, yo estaba súper contenta, en plan, qué divertido.
No, I didn't prepare this. I didn't put my hand in a plastic bag, so my cast got really wet, which is not good for the cast. Don't tell my doctor. Yeah, that was not so smart.
Yeah, it's looking like rain every single day, and it's not like I won't race because of that, but I really like sunny, dry conditions.
En el sprint segment llegué con Elise, estaba todo lleno de agua y de río, fuimos juntas entre el agua nadando y sabía que después de esto empezaría el downhill y que se iba a ir. Y entonces yo lo único que pensaba era, bueno, espero que no me adelanten más chicas y que ya no adelante a más gente para que el hueco de puntos sea el menor posible en la general.
The flat part was nice as a sort of a recovery after the uphill, and you know something big is coming for the downhill.
I saw Ninki, like I kept looking back, and to be honest, she's such a great runner, and so I was like, you know what? If she passes me, it's like no big deal. I'm happy to be here. I feel like I'm having a good run. But then it clicked. I was like, just you gotta go. And the downhill is interesting because everyone handles it a little different, and especially with it being so slippery. I think people are more cautious, and I was too. I didn't want to like one step and then your race is over or whatever. So I was cautious, but a little wild on it. I would have been surprised if someone told me that I was gonna win, but I also was hopeful that's what I could do. I had a good month of training, and I kind of wanted to just come in with a bang.
I'm really happy I didn't fall. It was very slippery, very technical, not my thing. But I'm happy that nobody overtook me.
Los últimos 7 kilómetros estuvimos Kaylin y yo juntas todo el rato. Cada vez que había una bajada técnica me pasaba, cada vez que había un llano o subida la cogía. Y así fue hasta la meta, que los últimos kilómetros fueron a cuchillo, en plan le pasaba, me pasaba, le pasaba.
That sprint at the finish was fantastic. It was only for 3 points, but it shows you how important those points can be in the overall title. Sarah came into today with quite a comfortable cushion over Elise. But I don't think she'd have expected Elise to do that well because it's not that technical. When Elise came third, she was by far the fastest person down that hill. And Sarah's now going to start thinking, I'm going to have to run hard because Elise clearly is on form and she's starting to catch me in the overall points.
Todavía estoy tercera en la general y Sofía acaba cuarta y se queda segunda, que todavía está bastante lejos en la posición, pero he oído que igual no compite en todas las etapas. Y eso me beneficia.
What a race today for Manuel Merillas. Started behind his teams and
what you don't know is that he's disqualified.
For the top places.
We came back to the hotel after stage 1 and suddenly found out that Manu had been disqualified. He didn't realise, but one of the rules is if you start with poles, you have to finish with poles. And he just handed them over to someone at the top, not knowing the consequences.
Un tecnicismo me quitó todos los puntos. De hecho, es tan técnico y si fuera al extremo del reglamento, podría hasta hacer una reclamación porque yo no dejé ningún bastón abandonado y mis bastones no son bastones, son palos. Pero no sé qué hacer.
Yeah, he took the poles at the beginning for the first appeal, and then he leave it at the head station. He didn't throw it in the nature, but he gave it to somebody. And in the rules, he's really writing that if you have it at the start, you have to finish the race with the poles.
Yeah, I saw when he dropped out his poles. It's not my business because I agreed with the rules, but if the rules say you have to run from start to finish line with poles, you have to do that.
Vale. Bueno, si vamos hacia las reglas, vamos a decir que en las carreras por montaña, la más puramente dichas, que siempre se busca un poco más el recorrido, o la belleza, o la tecnicidad, o la montaña en sí, sí, ahí sí que lo entiendo perfectamente que te diga, oye, si llevas los bastones, o sea, de inicio te los llevas hasta el final, porque al final es una carrera que no tiene que ver con una carrera de alto nivel. O sea, puede ser una carrera más difícil, menos difícil o más importante, pero ahí entiendo perfectamente que se haga eso. Pero sin embargo, en carreras de la Golden, si me voy hacia gama, ahí se puede hacer lo que quieras. En los avituallamientos, te dan ropa, te quitan ropa, te dan de beber, los bastones los puedo dejar, todo. Si te vas a Sierra Final, lo mismo, allí vale todo. Te pueden dar hasta por el recorrido lo que quieras. O sea, y aquello es a máximo rendimiento. Así que yo entiendo, y siempre han vendido las Golden, o se venden las Golden, como buscar el máximo rendimiento. Por eso, consciente de mí, no lo miré, pensando que si se busca el máximo rendimiento se podría hacer. Pero sin embargo en esta de Madeira no. Pero es eso. Dada la conclusión al momento de ahora, y yo creo que se va a mantener, 0 point.
Message from my family.
Ah, yeah? Every day a new message? Uh-huh.
2, 3, 4, 5, and next week.
What message today?
Today is, I hope you enjoy overseas mountains. 2日目起きて、今回は天気良かったんで、すごいどんな景色が見れるのかワクワクしましたし、僕自身、足のコンディションとしては、そんなに疲労感もなくて、いいコンディションだなと思いました。
Day 2 is 26.6k with 1,400 meters of climbing. The big difference, though, is that it's actually 2 climbs, up and down, and the last climb is pretty technical. So if you go too fast on that first hill, you're going to trash your legs. And finally, it's a chance for our more skillful runners to actually show what they've got.
Yeah, I took a coach like 2 years ago to change a bit my training because I see that I was not like improving so much the past years. So we know that in the uphill I was the best like quite all the time, so it was for nothing to work on it. So we decided to work a bit more on the flat and on the downhill. Then I had good times in my training, so I knew that it was possible to win today.
For stage 2, both Sophia and Ali decided not to race. And that's fantastic for Sarah. She was worried about them catching her, but now every point she scores on day 2 is points pulling away from them.
I didn't really realize how hard it is to just like sit out a race. Like, I'm glad I wasn't up when everyone was leaving because that's like a hard environment.
I'm planning to do all 5 stages. Also because this was previously it was a rule, and I was really happy to do this because I think it's a cool concept. So I stick to this, and I also want to see how I actually react to such a thing.
Me pongo quinta y ahí en el aire station que están mis padres, me dicen, estáis menos Mienke que está a 4 minutos, en menos de 3 minutos te puedes poner como tercera como octava, porque estábamos prácticamente todas juntas. Entonces yo ahí pienso, es bien porque puedo quedar tercera, pero también puedo quedar octava, que es una liada eso en la overall ranking. Sofía no llega a participar en la carrera, entonces sé que quedando quinta así me pongo segunda en la general, entonces pues voy con esa ilusión. Sé que Liz está a 1 minuto detrás mío en el light station y que la carrera acaba bajando y que probablemente me pueda pasar. Entonces intento sacar lo máximo posible en el llano y la subida para que no me recorte tanto. Aún no le veo, pero baja muy bien.
It's going to be super hard for Manu today. He needs to clear his head of what's happened and race well, but he knows that he would have been in second place. But because of a simple mistake, he's all the way down in 8th.
El problema de salir a nivel mental en una carrera que te han descalificado el día anterior por una norma y encima me ponen una carrera tan corredera, pues entonces ya acabo de explotar. Pero claro, es como una olla a presión. Hacer tantas carreras de correr cuando siempre buscamos una equivalencia entre carreras fáciles, carreras difíciles, distancias y tal, pero es que está la balanza muy mal. O sea, fatal. O sea, Noruega es la única. Las otras para mí han sido duras. O sea, lo he entrenado, pero han sido duras.
¡No me aguanto la cabeza! ¡Dime que no estoy sangrando mucho, porfa!
Sí, un poco.
¿A cuánto están las otras?
Vamos, ¿no? Al lado.
Ah, vale.
2 minutos. ¿Te duele?
Después de la light station
¿Mareada?
hay un río, piso una piedra mojada, me resbalo, me golpeo la cabeza y justo había público, me miran como y me toco y toda la mano roja y digo, mierda, la has liado, pero hay que acabar la carrera como sea.
¿Quieres que te curen? Di, ¿no?
Sarah fell and smashed her head open and must have had flashbacks to Flagstaff. In Flagstaff, she had such a deep cut in her leg but carried on running and eventually hobbled off the course, unable to continue. She'd have wanted to stop today, but she couldn't. Elise was ahead of her. She knew that if she didn't run hard, she might lose her overall position in the competition. So she carried on battling, and you could see the distress all over her face.
Después de este momento de que te asustas, de que piensas, me va a marear o algo, falta una larga subida y una larga bajada. Subo lo más rápido que puedo porque sé que Elise viene cerca y justo después del pico me pasa y digo, mierda, ya está, porque solo queda bajada, ya no hay un momento para remontarlo.
Bart tactically took it easy on day 1, and he still finished in 6th. So for stage 2, he is the man to watch, because if you can come 6th when you're not trying, what's going to happen when you're not tired and you give it everything?
So around 5 kilometers before the finish line, I catch, I think, 4 athletes. It was like Petro Mamu, Robert Kemboi, Rui Ueda. So it was really a short part. And then I was focused on Thibaut Baronian because she ran just 30 seconds before me. And I ran in that gap probably 2 kilometers and I had bad accident. So when I back on the track, I was afraid about my knee condition, but still I tried to fight for top 3.
People just weren't prepared for the level of sunshine there was today. And because of it, El Hussein, Petru Mamu, and Robert Kemboi all blew up on the final hill. Not only did that mean that Bart came through for a 3rd place overall, but it meant Rui not having a great finish, still jumped up to third overall in the series.
夕飯前ぐらいに、ステージ2を終えたオーバーオールランキングを見て、3位に上がっていて、マジかみたいな感じでしたね。すごいびっくりしました。
With Sophia not running today, it should have been a great day for Sarah. She leapfrogged her back into second. But Elise had such a good race, she's now closing in on Sarah. So from now on, Sarah's going to have to start thinking about her as well and really run as hard as she can.
Yeah, no, the doctor told me, hey, it's not problem, you can run tomorrow, it's only 1 stitches, so for him looks normal. Yeah, but after when I back to hotel, I took a nap and then I tried to walk. It was impossible because I felt very pain inside my knee, and it was horrible because, you know, I had good day, good race, and now I'm not walking.
No, I came into this and I was gonna have a rest day in between each, so I'm just gonna race the last day.
Y me dan la noticia de que Sofía decide correr y digo...
Each year of the Golden Trails series seems to improve on the last. We can see from the number of records that keep on tumbling.
It was very hard for me to take that decision.
He's had a really tough year. First he overtrained, then altitude, and now this.
I'm already looking forward to next year. I think I've thought about it multiple times this week, but Golden Trail Series is the top trail priority right now.